Very good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the first chapter of your English literature, The Portrait of a Lady by Kushwant Singh. Dear students, first we'll discuss about the author, then we'll move to the chapter reading. Kushwant Singh was an Indian author, lawyer, diplomat, and journalist and politician. His experiences in 1947 partition of India inspired him to write Train to Pakistan in 1956, which became his well-known novel. And Kushwant Singh he was awarded with Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and Punjab Ratna Award also. Dear students, now we'll discuss the summary of the chapter. The story, The Portrait of a Lady, tells the bond of the family relationship between a grandmother and her son. The grandson, Odher, lives with his grandmother in their village house. His parents have moved to the city, and for the time being, he is under the guardianship of his widow grandmother. She is pious and beautiful woman even though she has grown older. She moves slowly with slumped shoulders but is in a constant mood of spiritual and religious. This gives her an air of calmness that the author links to that of snow capped peaks under the winter sun. The author studies in a school attached to a temple complex, so the grandmother escorts him to it and spends her time in religious devotion until he finishes his school day. In the evening, they both return home and feed some street dogs along with their journey. The daily routine is finally collapsed when they both are relocated to the city where the author's parents reside. The settling period in the big city brings its own set of forces for the grandson and his grandmother. Even though they share the same room, they grow apart gradually. The author is enrolled in an English medium school where he learns science and mathematics in place of religion and spirituality. The grandson then moved to university and is given a separate room for privacy and independence. As time goes by, the author decides to move abroad for higher studies. His stay would last 5 years, so he assumes that it would the last time he would get to see his grandmother, who was not getting any younger. She goes to see him off to the railway station and they say their warm goodbyes. When the author returns home 5 years down the line, he is pleasantly surprised to see his grandmother lead the welcoming party. Back at home, she keeps busy with her sparrows but arranges a celebratory function for the returning grandson. Dear students, the rest of the story will come to know while we read the chapter. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. People said that she had been once young and pretty and had even had a husband. But that was hard to believe. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. He wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person he would have a wife or a children. He looked as if he could only have loads and loads of grandchildren. As for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. This that seems quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles wrangled from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her, old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age of 20 years. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting to balance her stoop and other telling the beads of her rosary. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, as an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayers in the monotonous sing song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I could listen, get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice, but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot, and a red pen, tied them all in a bundle and handed to me. After a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and a sugar spread on it, we went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. The priest taught us the alphabets and the morning prayer. While the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabets or the prayer in a chorus, my grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. When we had both finished, we would like walk together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. Dear students, now we'll discuss the important word meanings. Please make sure that you are underlining. What is the meaning of wrinkled? What is the meaning of wrinkled? Wrinkled means having small lines because of old age. I repeat, wrinkled means having small lines because of old age. Now we'll move to the next word. What is the meaning of mantelpiece? Mantelpiece. What is the meaning of mantelpiece? Mantelpiece means a shelf above the fireplace. A shelf above the fireplace. Now we'll move to the other word, revolting. What is the meaning of revolting? Revolting means extremely unpleasant. Extremely unpleasant. Now we'll move to the another one, absurd. Absurd. What is the meaning of absurd? Absurd means not at all logical. Not at all logical. Not at all rational. We can say not at all logical or not at all rational. Now the next word is fables. What is the meaning of fables? Fables means a short story that teaches a lesson. we can say a moral story. A moral story or a short story that teaches a lesson. Now, dear students, we will move to the second paragraph. Here, what is the meaning of hobbled? Hobbled means walk in a difficult way because of pain. Walk in a difficult way because of pain. We can see, especially the old people, very old people, when they walk, they won't be able to walk in a very straight way. They will be always they bend, then only they used to walk. They walk in a very difficult way. That is called as hobbit. Now, dear students, we'll to the very next word. It is spotless. What is the meaning of spotless? Spotless means absolutely clean or pure. Spotless means absolutely clean or pure. Now, dear students, we'll move to the another word, that is stoop. What is the meaning of stoop? Stoop means bend someone's head or body. As I said, when we notice the very old people, they won't be able to be very straight, right? So we can see a small bend on their body. That is called as stoop. Dear students, in this two paragraph which we discussed, we can see the author, he tells about his grandmother. He tells that my grandmother was like everybody's grandmother. She was very old, she was having wrinkles, and he says that the neighboring people, they used to say my grandmother was very beautiful in her golden days, and she was having a husband also. But I won't be able to believe that she was having a husband. I won't be able to believe that. And dear students, when we move to the second paragraph, the author discuss about how the grandmother, she used to walk. She was having a bend, and she used to keep everything very clean, and she used to pray always. Always she has her rosary in her hand, and she used to pray all the time. And when we come to the third paragraph, we'll see the grandmother and the author, they were very good friends. And the author, he remember how the grandmother, she make the author to prepare to go to school. He is remembering those things also, and he says that what the grandmother made for him to eat. And when we move to the another paragraph, we'll see the grandmother and the author, they used to go to school together, and the school is attached to a religious place. And when the author moved to the school, the grandmother used to sit outside, and she used to read the spiritual books. And when they come back together, there were loads of street dogs. The street dogs were waiting for them for the chapatis grandmother used to give to the street dogs.